Hi everyone, my name is Sean and welcome to Power Made Perfect, where I help you to see how the Lord uses our brokenness for His glory and our good. So I thought that we would take some time today to talk about what's going on in the Ukraine and Russian conflict right now, and what we can learn from that conflict and how we can help in it. And it just seems like new stuff is coming out all the time. And new stuff is just coming out all the time regarding it. We're seeing bombs being dropped. We're seeing that people are stuck in Ukraine and they can't leave, especially men. That they're arming civilians. That we're seeing the death count rise for Russians more than it is for the Ukrainian people. We're also seeing families being separated. We're seeing nurses and doctors trying to help people and continue to serve people in sickness and in health, and especially injuries that are now occurring from this conflict. And now we're even starting to see Russian protesters that are against the war being arrested in Russia. So for people like me who are watching from the outside, who are in safer places, at least as of right now, like the US, which is where I reside, or if you reside anywhere else in the world where it is safe from this conflict, it's easy to just sit on the sidelines and look in and just feel bad for the situation. However, I think what we can do that's useful out of this is to try to find things to learn from this ourselves for our daily lives, as well as try to seek ways to help this Ukraine and Russian situation. So what can we learn from this? And there's three things that I've thought of that just we can learn from. These are three general things. Obviously there's more, and these things also, I know that there's depending where you live, different laws and regulations and restrictions and all these things that I think can sometimes make it a little different on how we perceive situations like Russia and Ukraine right now. However, I think these three things that we can glean from this or learn from this is pretty universal, really, no matter where you live. So the first thing that we can learn from this, I think, is just how to be more thankful, have increase in thankfulness on a daily basis, and especially for us who are in more developed places like the UK, like America, where I am, Canada, and many other European nations. I think that we can look in on this conflict right now and seeing houses destroyed and, like we said, families being separated and all these things, and just really be thankful not only for the big things but also the small things every day. I mean, even down to the breaths that we have, the fact that I get to wake up the next morning, and just being thankful to that, and wake up in the morning and just remembering that there are people out there who don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, where for us who don't have to worry about that, that is such a big amount of stress that is relieved off of us, and that's just one example, and it's just being thankful for family and friends who are around, the freedom to do certain things or not to do certain things, and just really remembering those things and being thankful for them. Like we were saying, there are people in Russia right now that are being arrested for protesting the war. I know not every place has this luxury, but at least here in America, you can speak out against things for the most part and not have to worry about going to jail as long as you do it in a peaceful manner. And that's just one example. And just remembering that and just being thankful for it, and thanking God for the opportunities and the situations that we're in. I think the second thing we can learn from this conflict is putting things into perspective. I see a lot of stuff online nowadays, whether it's people getting really butthurt or really offended over really small things, or these influencers that are showing off just their bodies for views, as well as people that, you know, just flaunt a lot on social media, and we just see this stuff over and over again. And it's just increasing more and more, and like just people wanting to flex on others, and just really, you know, everyone wanting to be right all the time, and just all this stuff. And it just creates so much noise. And all it does is divide people over really dumb and insignificant things. And when you see like such travesties happening to real human beings, it puts into perspective like what am I putting my time and energy towards? You know, what am I investing in? You know, and I'm not just talking about stock market investing. I'm talking about our lives, our time and our energy, our work. What am I investing in? Am I investing in myself, or am I investing it in those around me? Because a lot of what our culture tells us nowadays is to invest in yourself, make everything about you, and that's freaking hell. When, at least from my experience, when I have tried to make things about me all the time, I'm not happy. I'm not filled with joy. I just get so caught up in myself. Either way, it just puts into perspective, what are we really putting our time and energy towards? And is it really worthwhile? Is it building relationships and building others up, or is it tearing others down and destroying relationships? And that's something that I feel like we've really lost, especially within the last couple decades. And on that same note, the third lesson I think we could learn from this is uniting together. And, you know, kind of like with what I said, you know, just the culture that our world is building right now, where it's just you, make it all about you. Get offended by that, get offended by this, and flex on people in this way and this, and show off in this way and whatever. Those things, when we go down those road, it makes it about us, and it tears relationships apart. And then you just see people getting divided everywhere, and we're seeing this, at least from like me being in the US, we see it all the time. And when you see stuff going on like in Ukraine and Russia, where there is a big force opposing you, like, it makes you unite. You know, you forget about all that stupid stuff, and you unite together under one banner, Ukraine being the banner of Ukraine, and uniting under that to protect what is theirs. And I think we have lost that a lot in modern society, especially what I see here in the US. And I think we need to regain that back. And how we do that, I think, is through the gospel. Easier said than done. I understand that. But the Bible and the Lord has called us to unify together under Christ. And just like Ukraine is unifying together just under the banner of Ukraine, and Ukrainian just joining hands to defend their country, we can do the same in Christ. And I think that's just an example of just how, despite our differences, we can unite under one common goal, and that is the kingdom, the building of God's kingdom, God's glory, and how we play a part in that. And that can allow us, when we focus less on ourselves and more on God and His will and what He has planned and has in store, it makes it a lot easier to put aside our differences, and though we're different, come together to unify in Christ. Now, how can we help Ukraine? And I think this will sound obvious, but the two big ones, I think, is prayer, lots of prayer, and if there is a trustworthy organization that you know of to possibly give financially. I know that through my work, we just set up a fund for people to donate to, just employees, for people to donate to help out in Ukraine in rebuilding infrastructure and things such as that. So maybe your work offers something like that, or maybe you know of a organization that is helping that way. So pray over that with giving financially, to know how much to give, whether to give or not, and be generous as well in that way to help people who are in need. And that's something that I haven't donated yet, and I'm just putting that out there. I haven't donated yet, but that's something that I want to do, and that I'm going to, and I'm going to be praying through that to know how much to give and how to go about it. And then, like I said, the other part of that being prayer. And I watched a podcast the other day, and the podcast was from One for Israel, and they were interviewing a pastor from Ukraine. And the pastor was mentioning a couple different ways that people could be praying for them. And one, and the reason why I watched this, I wanted to know how to pray for them. And one of them was for the courage and strength of their troops and the men in Ukraine, because like we were saying, they're getting people, civilians, to fight on city streets. And a lot of these being younger men, just for courage and strength for them. Another one being the reunion of families in Ukraine, and how many of them have been split up because of what's been going on, as well as the Russians not being successful in pressing into Ukraine, and just them not having success in taking over. And another one being that people would look to God in these uncertain times. It's when we have it all, per se, or we feel like we're good on our own, it's really easy to ignore God. And unfortunately, a lot of people only turn to God when things start going bad. And so we can see this most likely happening in Ukraine, and also outside of Ukraine, with people that probably wouldn't consider themselves religious by any extent, or believers at all. Just praying for the sake of praying for Ukraine, which is always a good thing, but pray that this would draw people nearer to the Lord, and that these scary times would put fear into their hearts, and a fear that would be directed to God and going to Him with those worries and those anxieties, and that people would find Christ from this. And then another big one being, and the final one, I guess just for this discussion right now, is also just the leadership in Russia, including Putin and just all of them, and that there'd be some type of divine intervention, for whether that be them pulling back their forces, or them coming to some type of realization that the Lord would change their hearts in some capacity, or fully change their hearts and make them do 180. Anything's possible in God, but just to continue praying for them, because it's so easy to look at Russia and Putin and just say, look at them and say, look how bad they are, look how bad they are. And yes, what they're doing is awful, but that doesn't mean that God can't work on them and can't work through them still. And so it's always important just to not put ourselves on a pedestal and look down on them, because we're broken as well, and we have to remember that, but just to see them as broken people that are making really bad mistakes, and just praying and earnestly praying for them that God would touch them in some way that they would change. So thank you for watching. That's all I got for you today. I thought I'd just make a little bit of a quicker video today. If you like this kind of content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more videos like this, please consider clicking one of these videos over here. But other than that, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Have a good day, and God bless.